A journey of force, hot like the sun and wet like the rain.
And now for something completely different. So, you are my friend, give me the earth. No! Go to star. You can already tell that this is a very weird game. It's one of those Japanese anything goes games. Anything can be an enemy, be it octopuses or who's a celebrity? Willie Nelson, frickin' I don't know. Anyway, this one has an unusual mechanic in it. You can grab the enemies right off of the screen and then convert them over to your side and they'll do moves for you. It's like Kirby's copy ability, kind of. Fun stuff. I'd venture to say no other game has ever done such a thing. So there seems to be some kind of backstory going on here with the UFOs. It kind of looks like aliens are attacking New York City or something. You mean like in the Avengers? You can't see it, but I'm doing the retard chest slap. You know the one. It's probably not okay to do anymore, but... So yeah, each of the enemies you can grab has a different power that they'll offer. The turtle will offer you his protection. Do not worry, young spaceship. I will protect you. Fun stuff. There's the guy from the thumbnail. 2 of them, in fact. So I like this art direction. Kind of reminds me of Baku Baku Animal on the Sega Saturn. So there's a theme with most of these enemies where they have like a 6-speed gauge underneath. See, the trash can's got one and those little UFOs have one. I'm assuming that's some kind of inside joke from the Japanese developers that perhaps didn't translate to English or something. Was this even in American arcades? I don't even know. This is just meme. I don't have an actual Space Bomber arcade cabinet in my home. That would be utterly absurd. So you could definitely call this game a product of another time, at least visually. Not to sound like an old man, but games just don't look like this anymore, you know? It seems like in our day and age, it seems today that all you see... Oh my gosh, I just noticed the Twin Towers were in the background of that level, oh dear. Anyway, getting distracted. So it seems in this day and age there are really only 2 different ways a game can look. It can either be a big budget showcase that tries to be as real as possible, or it can be an indie game that was made on a McChicken budget and it tries to look like an NES game, because doing anything beyond that would be too difficult and too expensive. So most indie developers just go with pixel graphics. Your average indie man certainly has an obsession with the NES, even though most indie games are made by college kids who probably don't even remember the NES to begin with. We're talking people who were born in 2001. What was that one funny Pokemon video? Keeping it real since 2001. What a callback. Well, this level definitely has a theme, doesn't it? Both the big and the small enemies are pigs. This game was made by feminists to try and teach you a lesson, and you big fat pig, fuck you, that's what you are. You're a pig. You know, I was watching some stand-up comedy earlier today. There was a lady who did stand-up at like a feminist convention, and she was saying, gee, I don't know, ladies, I gotta be home by 9:30 so I can cook up some dinner for my man, and they did not find that one funny at all, let me tell you. Oh dear. So there goes the pig. Speaking of Baku Baku Animal, like I mentioned earlier, that rabbit sprite looks almost like a direct copy and paste of the rabbit from Baku Baku Animal. I mean, they were made by different companies. Baku Baku Animal was made by Sega, and this was made by Psycho, but maybe there were some employees that kind of cross-contaminated across the two companies or something. Because that is too big of a coincidence. You know, too big of a coincidence. So, this next character kind of looks like something you'd see in an episode of Power Rangers. Can't you picture it? Some kind of evil robot woman that's 100 feet tall and is attacking a city or something, and they have really bad special effects, and it's actually just a regular-sized person surrounded by small replicas of buildings. You know that effect that they do in like the old Godzilla movies and Power Rangers, as previously mentioned. Create the illusion of something being giant. That was just how they did things before CG. I was never overly big into Power Rangers. I had the Wild Zord toy set for a while, but even then I didn't really follow the show. I just thought the toys were cool as a kid. And they were. Since this is just MAME, there really isn't a consequence for game overs. We can just put in as many imaginary quarters as we want. Kind of a trade-off though, you know, cause since the danger isn't real, that kinda takes the fun out of the game, you know? I guess the solution to that would be to impose an artificial limit on yourself and, okay, I'm gonna pretend that I've only got 3 quarters. Well, Nancy and I only have 3 quarters. I don't know, I just feel like I had to turn that into a Ronald Reagan impression. That's where it felt like it was going. I barely even have to change my normal speaking voice to sound like Ronald Reagan anyway. That one time I was on that live stream for the Creator Clash, and I got a lot of comments pointing that sort of thing out, and they'd say, "You sound like Ronald Reagan with COVID." And they'd say, "Who let Grandpa in? Tell Walmart Donkey to shut the fuck up." Comment people, you know how they are. So there's that 6-speed gauge again. This time it's right on the forehead area of the skull. I don't rightly understand the significance of it. Okay, what does the skull do? Ooh, it spreads around. It's almost like a sprinkler of sorts. You know, when I was a kid, I briefly had one of those sprinklers that kind of follows you around. It was like a shape like a flower. You know, it would move. We just had it in the backyard there, and the neighbor kid claimed that he had one that was just like it, but it wasn't a flower. It was Dexter's pet monkey from Dial M for Monkey. Do you think that was a real product that was out there in the world, or do you think he just made that up? I don't think that was real, for a combination of reasons. I mean, one, that's too obscure of a character, and two, Cartoon Network merch really wasn't that prevalent back then. Yeah, so the cat does a cool move, huh? It's got some razor sharp claws. Redditors like cats. Every day with the cat memes. I mean, I like cats as much as the next guy, but they kind of take it to the extreme. Bernie Sanders says my cat can have a little salami, yeah. Remember when that was a meme? I'm glad those days are over. So, is it socially acceptable to have monkeys in a sort of Native American headdress? I feel like that would upset people. I know they had to censor Smash Bros. Because Mr. Game & Watch had a Native American feather. I know Rich from Review Tech USA, he was really upset about that for some reason. I don't know, it was just one of those things where the reaction to the outrage seemed to be worse than the actual outrage itself. Speaking of Rich from Review Tech USA, one year I was watching the Microsoft E3 presentation, and there was like a crowd shot, and you could see like this big fat dude in the audience, and I realized, hey, wait a minute, that's not just any fat dude, that's Rich from Review Tech USA. You can see him right there, right on the fucking live stream of the audience. Oh, what a find. So anyway, yeah, that was Space Bomber. A nice little curiosity.